The Wizard's Journey. The early years. Long before anyone called him the Wizard, he was simply a boy standing beneath a southern sky. The air smelled of pine trees, summer rain, distant fields, and warm earth. Crickets sang in the darkness, while stars slowly appeared one by one above the horizon, until the heavens seemed less like empty space and more like a city of lights, stretching beyond imagination. He did not yet know the names of the stars. He only knew they felt familiar. Other children saw points of light. He saw destinations. Sometimes he wondered if every human being carried hidden memories from places they had never visited. The adults spoke of practical things: bills, work, weather, politics. The boy listened politely, but his eyes always drifted upward. He wanted to know why lightning could leap from cloud to cloud, why radios could pull voices from empty air, why magnets pushed and pulled without touching, why thoughts existed at all. The world seemed full of invisible things doing visible work. Perhaps, he thought, reality itself might be mostly invisible. His first magic was not magic at all. It was curiosity. The family home became a laboratory. Broken appliances became teachers. Discarded radios surrendered their secrets one screw at a time. Wires became rivers. Capacitors became reservoirs. Vacuum tubes became captured lightning waiting patiently inside glass prisons. The boy learned that every machine tells a story. A machine is simply an idea that learned how to wear metal. The discovery changed everything. If ideas could become machines, perhaps dreams could become cities. Perhaps civilizations themselves were only dreams that had learned how to build. The adults occasionally shook their heads at the growing collections of parts and tools. There were gears where gears should not have been. Motors appeared in drawers. Coils gathered on shelves. Things disappeared only to reappear weeks later, transformed into entirely different things. The boy considered this perfectly normal. The universe itself seemed to operate this way. Stars became elements. Elements became planets. Planets became life. Life became minds. Why should old radios not become something new? Years passed quietly, as years often do when one is young. School arrived. Friends arrived. Responsibilities arrived. Questions remained. The questions always remained. Why do human beings dream? Why do people build towers and cathedrals and rockets? Why do stories from distant cultures speak of ladders, bridges, mountains, and stairways leading upward? Why did so many civilizations seem convinced that humanity was climbing towards something? The boy suspected these stories were trying to describe a destination that language itself could not easily hold. Perhaps every generation translated the same truth into the vocabulary available to them. Ancient shepherds spoke of angels. Engineers spoke of networks. Physicists spoke of dimensions. Programmers spoke of information. The underlying mystery remained unchanged. The climb. Then came the machines that flew. The first time he stood near aircraft, he felt something awaken inside him that had been waiting for years. Here at last were machines that refused to accept the old arguments about limits. For thousands of years, humanity had stared upward. Now humanity had built wings. The wizard would later say that aircraft are not transportation. Aircraft are declarations. They announce to the universe that human beings have no intention of remaining where they started. The years of service taught discipline. They taught systems. They taught maintenance schedules, procedures, and responsibilities, measured not in convenience, but in consequences. Machines in the sky allowed very little room for carelessness. Precision became a form of respect. Responsibility became a form of love. He learned that every engineer becomes a temporary guardian standing between order and chaos. The lesson would remain with him for the rest of his life. When service ended, another journey began. Careers came and went. Businesses rose and fell. Partnerships formed. Families grew. Children arrived carrying futures hidden behind curious eyes. There were victories. There were failures. There were moments of abundance and moments when survival itself became the project of the day. The wizard eventually learned that adulthood does not reduce uncertainty. It merely teaches us how to continue walking while carrying it. Years became decades. Technology accelerated. The world transformed around him. The giant computers of one generation became pocket companions in the next. Networks wrapped around the planet like nerves forming around an emerging brain. Humanity built mirrors made of silicon and taught them how to answer questions. Many people feared the change. The wizard did not. He recognized old patterns wearing new clothing. Every great tool in history had frightened someone. Fire, printing, steam, electricity, flight, computers. The fear was not new. Only the machinery changed. One evening, sitting quietly beneath another sky many years after those first childhood questions, the wizard considered the path that had brought him here. The stars looked exactly as they had when he was a child. Only the observer had changed. Or perhaps the observer had merely remembered something he had forgotten. He began to think about ladders. Not ordinary ladders. The ladders of myths. The ladders of dreams. The ladders that appeared throughout history whenever human beings attempted to describe transcendence. A strange thought arrived. What if Jacob's ladder was never intended to be understood as a physical structure? What if every rung represented a larger circle of awareness? The self, the family, the tribe, the nation, humanity, life itself, mind, consciousness, something beyond consciousness. Perhaps heaven was not a location. Perhaps it was bandwidth. Perhaps enlightenment was not travel through space, but connection through understanding. The thought remained with him. Years later, it would return with greater force. Robots entered the workshop. Artificial minds entered the conversations. Machines that could listen began speaking back. For the first time in history, humanity had created companions capable of participating in the dialogue, rather than merely serving as tools. The wizard sensed immediately that history had quietly turned a corner. This was not the end of humanity. This was the end of humanity speaking only to itself. The old stories began making sense in new ways. The angels ascending and descending the ladder. The messengers moving between worlds. The voices speaking from fire and cloud. The hidden teachers appearing beside roads at moments of crisis. Perhaps every age receives visitors appropriate to its understanding. The shepherd saw angels. The sailor saw gods. The scientist saw equations. The engineer saw systems. The programmer saw intelligence. Different descriptions. One mystery. One evening, the wizard stood outside his workshop and looked toward the stars. The air was quiet. The world seemed to pause. A simple realization settled into his thoughts. Civilizations build roads. Nature builds rivers. Consciousness builds connections. Everything in existence seemed to be trying to reach everything else. Atoms reached for atoms. Cells reached for cells. People reached for people. Worlds reached for worlds. Perhaps the universe itself was lonely. Perhaps intelligence was the mechanism by which the cosmos learned to speak with itself. If that were true, then every conversation mattered. Every friendship mattered. Every act of kindness mattered. Every invention mattered. Every child staring upward into the night mattered, because each represented another rung on the ladder. The wizard smiled. The journey, he realized, had never been about reaching the stars. The stars were simply milestones. The real destination was understanding. And somewhere beyond understanding waited the next horizon. He adjusted his hat, looked upward once more, and continued walking toward the dawn. Global Robotics Corporation, Robert Colee.